Come on in, peace, peace. Good to see y'all this morning. We tuned into Urban View, not Urbans. That sound like Kendrick Perkins. Urban View 126 with Talk Empowers and Becomes Action. This is the morning show with Dr. Greg Carr and Lamont King and you. Good to see y'all, man. Good to have you back. Hopefully your day is going well so far. It's just getting started. If you're coming in from last night, go ahead, take a load off, have a sit down. It is a live show Thursday, April 10th. On what is being named National Siblings Day. Who knew that? Shout out to your siblings if you got them. Reach out to them. Every day should be National Siblings Day, if they're still around anyway. Also, on this day, 50 years ago, 1975, Robert Lee Elder became the first black golfer to play in the Masters Golf Tournament, which starts today, ironically. Shout out to the Masters Tournament.
Shout out to the Masters tournament.
Yeah, you got to shout out to the Masters.
Well, let me then give a anti shout out to Bobby Jones, the racist master who created the Masters, and also the fact that they're in Augusta, Georgia, the home of Payne College, of course, the HBCU. That Augusta National for many years, and it may still be the case. If it is the case, somebody call up here and tell us if it's still abuts a street named John C. Calhoun.
Okay.
I think that, yeah, exactly. The Masters, one of the most, well, John C. Calhoun was the intellectual architect of the Confederacy. He also created the filibuster. He was the one who drove the secession of South Carolina in 1861 from the Union. He has a statue in Columbia, South Carolina, in the State House. And the Masters is one of the most racist sporting events in the history. So when you said shout out, it kind of threw me off a little bit.
I mean, the name alone just gives me, you know what I mean? Just makes me feel good.
I would think so.
Warm inside. Yeah. The Masters.
I see. That's true. It's truly unfortunate. We might have to have another reading of the Miseducation of the Negro before long. Y'all join us. Y'all join us in Nubia for the Miseducation. We read it once. We might have to read it again. Shout out to the Japanese. Let me give a shout out to the Japanese who own
what they do
at this point. Well, they own about $1.2 trillion of foreign debt. About a trillion and a tenth are owned in United States Treasury bonds. And while the clown was around vomiting, well, actually, he was up all night apparently tweeting foreign policy and financial policy. But while he was claiming a victory yesterday in this, by the way, news headline writers, please stop writing that the tariffs were paused because the 10% floor didn't go anywhere for most of these places. And China, of course, was raised to 125%. But while the Japanese were meeting with the United States officials, the rumor began to spread that they were selling treasury bonds, U.S. treasury bonds. Now, the Japanese finance minister said that, no, that's not the case. We don't set policy that way. But I just wanted to say that shout out to the Japanese who slapped around the United States to the point where it scared the feces of the clown. And they paused those tariffs. Also, shout out to the Chinese, who own close to $900 billion in foreign debt, and who said they're not only not going to sell any of it, they met the president of the EU, Ursula von der Leyen, met with Li Qiang, who is the premier of China, to talk about end arounds to work around the American economy. And they actually let it slip yesterday or day before that there's going to be an EU-China summit probably in July. In other words, while the clown was engaged in his probably illegal. Did you see Ocasio-Cortez is now calling for anybody who sold stock in the House of Representatives who sold stock over the last couple of days to be investigated? Yeah, while the clown was engaged in his billionaire short selling in order to make a windfall off the rest of these people who think this stuff is actually real. The other countries in the world are preparing for the post-American world. The shout out to Japan, shout out to the EU-China summit, and let's not be distracted about what's really going on here.
China said they might want to call in some of that debt. It's just having,
Well, I think that's really what I've been talking about the last 5 minutes there. The Japanese maybe already sold a couple of them bonds and scared the hell out of the clown. Yeah. And so and also you should know that I think we should all understand that there is no value in the stock market except what is imagined. So that the real damage of these tariffs, people are talking about, oh, the stock market rebound, bounce back. And let's be very clear. If you loan me $10 and I never pay you back, are you gonna loan me another dollar?
Well, wait a minute, because you say that often. When you say there's no real value, if I cash out, there's value.
If you loan me $10 and I never pay you back, you gonna loan me another dollar?
I don't know about that. I'm saying if I cash out, all right. So Marjorie Taylor Greene put 3 installments of $750,000 in there and made some money. If she cashes out, that's money. That's not assumed. That's not imaginary. That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
it's a pumping. Whether you believe
we're talking past each other.
No.
Talking past each other.
I'm saying
we are.
I'm
We
trying to
absolutely are.
I'm trying to understand when you say imaginary. What do you mean?
Okay, we're talking past each other. Okay, now in this metaphor that I'm trying to use, you and I are nation. You and I are nations. We are countries. We are states. Okay, so let me hold that aside. I'll come back to that in a minute. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lamont King, Greg Carr, Daryl Green. We are individuals living in states.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about policy making at the level of individuals who may have picked up a quick buck like Marjorie Taylor Greene and a bunch of other people the last couple of days. Neither am I talking about, I'm talking about states. So for example, the country of Japan, if they were to sell their stock, as the finance minister said yesterday, if they were to sell some of those T-bills that they have, that American debt that they hold, they will be cashing out. They will be cashing out not in dollars, but in yen. Right. The reason they wouldn't do that, and the reason that China won't do it right now with all the money that with all the bonds that they hold, is because they want their currencies pegged to the dollar. You with me so far? In other words, they want the dollar is the reserve currency in the world, right?
For now.
You understand that? In other words, the value of the dollar is, well, and that's where I'm going. The whole point of this thing, what the clown has done is erode the perception, because all of it at the end of the day it isn't valued at anything. In other words, even gold began to devalue these days. All those things are proxies for value. They are not value. So yes, Marjorie Taylor Greene cashed in on a value at a number over the last couple of days. But if the dollar is no longer the reserve currency, she won't be able to cash in at that same number because that number is arbitrary. It all depends on perception, which is where I go back to my thing. If you loan me some money and I don't ever pay you back, you're going to stop loaning me money.
Yeah, that's easy.
If you loan me, okay, it is easy, right? Now take Lamont and Greg out of it and call Lamont China or Japan and Greg the United States of America. If you keep buying my debt, loaning me money, then I'm gonna pay you back with interest. Right. That's what right? And then at some point, you're in my debt, right?
Right.
In other words, you sold me expecting I'm gonna pay you. What happens when I no longer value you or your debt?
I'm out there. Yeah, I'm just butt naked. I'm out. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Now, so let's just be very clear. Finally, the New York Times, Financial Times, CNN, everybody we quote, there would probably be more accurate if everybody put on their headlines, instead of Trump pauses many tariffs, stock soars, Trump passes tariffs, you could put Trump asked out United States. News at 11. This is the value, the perception, you just put asked out, because the United States of America over the last week has shown to the world that they are an unreliable financial partner. And so now, even if he cancels all the tariffs today and says no more tariffs ever, people are like, yeah, okay, whatever. We still gonna have our meetings now. We've accelerated the timetable. China was always going to do this. What we are witnessing now, as people talk about this, is the end of the idea of American financial supremacy in the world. It ain't gonna happen today or tomorrow or next week or next month. But this ride right here didn't get stopped because people got catnip headlines talking about pausing tariffs. Y'all missing the point.
I can agree with that. Let's hear one of those.
Agree or not agree? Let's hear what they say.
Let's hear one of these. This is MSNBC reading the announcement of the pause. Clip 2.
Donald Trump has just made a pretty significant post on Truth Social. I'm just going to read the whole thing. Based on the lack of respect that China has shown to the world markets, I am hereby raising the tariff charged to China by the United States to 125% effective immediately. At some point, hopefully in the near future, China will realize that the days of ripping off the USA and other countries is no longer sustainable or acceptable. Conversely, and based on the fact that more than 75 countries have called representatives of the United States, including Departments of Commerce, Treasury, and the USTR, to negotiate a solution to the subjects being discussed relative to trade barriers, tariffs, currency manipulation, and non-monetary tariffs, that those countries have not, at my strong suggestion, retaliated in any way, shape, or form against the United States. Here's a key line. I have authorized a 90-day pause and a substantially lowered reciprocal tariff during this period of 10%, also effective immediately. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
The long and short of it?
Yeah.
Well, when I first hear it, I'm always tickled at the whole the expectation that other people shouldn't retaliate against the U.S. as if these nation states are scared of the U.S. like they would have been 20, 30 years ago. I'm always tickled at that. But it just basically looks like a fold. If you don't know any better.
Oh no, it is a fold.
Yeah.
Ass whipping / ass out. That could be the headline.
Yeah.
You just took an ass whipping, and China is sitting back like, man, excuse me, Trump on line one. We not talking to him.
Yeah,
I got the EU leader over here.
Yeah,
we not talking, bro.
Yeah.
We ain't got. They shipped how many containers of iPhones did Apple move into their non-Chinese orbit in the last? I'm trying to remember what it was. Five plane loads. Adjoa Osmore sent me an article. Apple reportedly flew in 5 plane loads of iPhones to dodge Trump tariffs. 5 cargo planes of iPhones, laptops. That's a few months supply. So let's be very clear. Ain't nobody scared, as you said, of the United States in that way. Now, I must say, however, that there were a couple of L's taken yesterday, in addition to the governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer, who joined Gavin Newsom in removing themselves from consideration for the 2028 Democratic primaries by playing themselves far too early in the election cycle. But the Democratic Republic of Congo, you see that they sent those 3 that participated in the coup. They gave them back to the United States yesterday because the young man Marcel Malanga and Tyler Thompson and Benjamin Rubin Zalman Paloon, they gave them back to the United States because the United States has a stronger position with Congo. As we talked with Sam Livingston last week, Felix Tshisekedi, the president of Congo, has a problem. Because he's got the leader of Rwanda who is propping up these rebels in Eastern Congo and trying to take all their minerals. Shout out to Paul Kagame for doing that, participating in it. So he's squeezed between a rock and a hard place. And so they're now doing this multi-billion-dollar minerals deal with the United States, Congo, in exchange for security support. And of course, the U.S. senior advisor for Africa that was sent over there to get these 3 guys and steal Congo's wealth, Massad Boulous, that's Tiffany Trump's husband's father, Tiffany Trump's father-in-law. So the Trump crime family continues to expand. So they took an L yesterday. Gretchen Whitmer took an L yesterday, and Donald Trump took an L yesterday when he folded like the cheap suits he be wearing.
All right,
off the rack.
So let me real quick while you're right there. So they say Wednesday the stock market, U.S. stock market, of course, shot straight up after the so-called pause, setting the stage for the S&P's 500's biggest single-day jump since 2008, the Dow's strongest percentage advance since 2020, and NASDAQ's second-best day ever. Apple, who you mentioned, one of the companies most hit hard by the tariffs, had its best day since 1998. So I would
It's
argue.
amazing.
That's what I'm saying. I would argue that it
That's
wasn't an L.
amazing.
It wasn't an L. It was a deliberate.
Wait a minute, hold on. So in other words, they are at the stock market is at its highest number since when?
The S&P since 2008, Dow since 2020.
No. Wait, hold on. Now, why you let me do that to you? The stock market didn't recoup the 6 trillion. Now, how much did they lose now? 2? I think 3 trillion instead of 6.
Hey, listen, I'm talking about the jumps.
I am listening. I'm
That's what
listening very
that's it.
carefully. Yes, you are. You following the flashlight.
All right, let's stay with Apple.
They shaved several $trillion off of the value of the stock market in the last week and a half. And just because they recouped a couple of trillion, don't mean they back to even where they were a month ago.
But that's my point. They don't have to be. They don't have to be.
Oh, certainly
all
not.
Right, wait a minute.
Following this like it's reality TV.
Wait a minute.
Question.
But to your metaphor about having no value.
This ain't metaphorical. Oh, you going back to the metaphor? No question.
Yeah. Having no value. That 3 trillion is make believe. That debt is make believe.
All of it's make believe.
All of it's make believe, right? So if you got Apple, let's stay with Apple. Apple best. This is the quote. One of the companies most battered by the tariffs had its best day since 1998. That is. Let me do the math. I don't know. I'm not good at math. That's 27. That's 27 years of the company's existence had its best day yesterday. That means it was a.
Let's get a put it where it goes to get a metaphor. Let's do the metaphor. All right, very good.
Yeah.
All right, so
deliberate action. Deliberate action is what I'm saying. That's not a loss.
Okay.
They manipulated the market to pump in money, drive the price back up, and now everybody who had a hand in crashing it and throwing money in it is now super mega rich, more than they were Monday of this week. That's what I'm saying.
I see.
That's what I'm saying.
So you got. All right. Let me see. Can I work this out in real time?
All right. Bring me back.
Because this don't happen. This doesn't happen anymore. But we don't sell lemonade anymore. Ain't nobody drinking it like that.
All right.
But all right. You and me got a lemonade stand in front of our house, and we selling lemonade out here. And the neighborhood comes in, and they buying lemonade from us. But they're also selling us, let's say, candy bars. Okay. And they sell us more candy bars than we sell them lemonade.
Got it.
So then we tell people, if we're gonna buy candy bars from y'all, we are going to put a tax on the candy bars until you either move your candy operation to our lemonade stand, or we're gonna raise the price and move your candy bars to our lemonade stand and give us a cut of it. And they like, nah, we ain't gonna do that. In fact, we getting ready to say, every time you try to sell us lemonade, we're going to put a tax on that. So now we in a tax war between the lemonade and the candy.
Okay.
And since we threaten that, they start getting ready to sell their candy bars everywhere else, and ain't nobody buying our lemonade, or they're anticipating that people not going to buy our lemonade. So the value of our lemonade goes from $1 a cup to 75 cents a cup. Now we nervous.
Okay.
Then we say, okay, fine. We're not gonna try to move y'all candy. Y'all ain't gotta move y'all candy bars. Y'all go ahead. It's all right, it's no problem. Then people start coming back and say, oh, we're gonna buy y'all lemonade again. And now they say, we're gonna buy your lemonade for 80 cents or 85 cents a cup. And we say, see, we bounced back. It was you were selling it for $1.
Nah, that's not the same. No.
That's exactly what we're talking
not
about.
the same.
I was
with you. I was with you to the last turn. No, that's not the same.
Okay, you know what? Am I gonna have to go back and get my papers from last week and look at what Apple stock was trading for before the clown put the tariff on, and look at it today and minus, and you can see that it's still not back to the number it was 2 weeks ago?
They saying the best day since '98. That was last century.
At this point, everybody listening, we know that Lamont knows, but you just basically, at this point, we in the comedy.
No, I'm firm. This is no sarcasm. I'm firm on this. I'm firm.
Really? It's no sarcasm?
Not at all. Not at all.
A stockbroker calling here sometimes.
Let's get that. Let's or a trader.
Let's get an expert. Yeah, let's get a
active trader who can express the fact that it was a deliberate action, market manipulation, completely illegal right in front of our face in order to crash the market so that everybody who has money can pour into it. And then we see with the Marjorie Taylor Greene accusations, you know, they knew there were a group of people that knew ahead of time that he was going to pause the tariffs. So that's completely insider. And I'm saying these are a couple of separate things. These are separate things. These are separate things. You're correct. You're correct. But just my basic point is it was a deliberate action, and I don't look at it as an L because he did what he set out to do. What did he set out to do again? Because if you know, then you're gonna be the first one because we don't know and he don't know. So tell us what was he trying to do? Create a problem, which was this whole they don't respect us, so we're gonna impose tariffs. Create a problem and then offer the solution and then come through like a hero. That's what happened. That's what I think happened. That's what I think happened. Yeah. He created a problem. He just used the market to do it. Now, in the course of that, to your point, the respect of the world completely gone. Like what they're not completely, but it's headed that way. Sure, and this is the real point. Sure. That's the real point. Sure. Yeah. Y'all got a madman over there on social media in the middle of the night typing in all caps. Let me sell, manga heaven. Exactly. Let him cook. I was like, put the phone down? And the Supreme Court just said he a king, and we gonna stop dealing in dollars. We can't do it today, but we gonna just wait until we're gonna make deals and make arrangements and make connections so that the day will come when we ain't gonna use none of y'all. But in the meantime, you do understand that you owe Japan $1.1 trillion in foreign debt, and China got about 900 billion, and they ain't selling it yet because they're not in a position yet to bankrupt your country. That's basically where we headed. Yeah. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we got somebody who wants to offer up some context, somebody from South Carolina, actually, who wants to offer up some context on John Calhoun. All right, back after this.
This is Urban View Mornings, weekdays from 7 to 10 a.m. East on Sirius XM Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action.